And now, Westwood One Entertainment proudly presents Casey's Top 40. Brought to you by AT20. It's all within your reach. And by Shed Spread Country Crock with a deliciously creamy country fresh taste that's guaranteed. Enjoy the country fresh taste of Country Crock.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Casey's Top 40. I'm David Perry, sitting in for Casey Kasem, and I'm all set to count down the 40 biggest hits on the pop chart. Our rankings come from the official survey of radio stations from coast to coast. The survey is conducted by Radio and Records, the industry's #1 newspaper. Well, we have 2 debuts this week, including the latest hit for the act, No Mercy. Let the countdown begin.
Number 40.
The first of our 2 debuts is by Matchbox 20. They're a 5-man alternative rock group from Orlando, Florida. And here's their first hit, Push.
She said, I don't know if I've ever been good enough. I'm a little bit rusty and I think my head is caving in.
American Top 40.
Every week, American Top 40's heard in the 50 states and around the world on great radio stations like today's best music, Sweet 98, Omaha, Nebraska, Mix 106.5, Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania, Island 106 means today's best music, Panama City, Florida, and 92.7, it's an attitude, not an age, Abingdon, Virginia. Now, falling a notch to number 6 is a band whose lead singer was born on a military base in Germany. He's Rob Thomas of Matchbox 20. And this is 3 a.m. We're counting down the most popular songs in the USA. Rob Thomas of Matchbox 20 says communicating with people has always been important to him. Ever since I can remember, I wanted to tell stories, but I never had the patience to sit down at a typewriter and write short stories. So Rob found the next best thing. He started writing 4-minute pop songs, and this is his latest. Matchbox 20 was survey song number 10, Back to Good. Well, now we're up to the song If You're Gone by Matchbox 20, a band whose leader knew he'd found the woman he was going to spend his life with after just one kiss. Rob Thomas says for him, it was love at first sight, or at least at first kiss. He says, quote, I wasn't looking for a girlfriend, and I definitely wasn't looking for a wife. I was looking to be a single rock guy. And then he was introduced by a friend to a girl named Marisol Maldonado. They met for just 10 minutes after a show in Montreal. And then Marisol told a friend, quote, that's the man I'm going to marry. Because Rob was always on tour, they spoke on the phone for months before their first date. It was apparently a very good date. And Rob says, I knew the second I kissed her that I would never, ever kiss another person. He also says, I like this marriage thing. It suits me well. This week, the happily married musician and his band move up a notch to number 13 on American Top 40. Rob Thomas and Matchbox 20 with If You're Gone.
American Top 40.
I'm Pat O'Brien, and for Casey Kasem, these are the 40 most popular songs in the USA. Dropping 7 notches is Rob Thomas, the singer and songwriter whose work with Matchbox 20 and his contributions to the Santana Mega Smash Smooth earned him the title of BMI's Pop Songwriter of the Year in 1999. Here's Rob and Matchbox 20 at 39 with Disease.
Feels like you made a mistake.
Well, now we're up to the song Bright Lights by a band whose famous leader lost 40 pounds to win the woman of his dreams. Rob Thomas of Matchbox 20 says it happened back in 1998. He was performing in Montreal, Canada, and after the show, he was introduced to a beautiful young woman named Marisol Maldonado, a model visiting from New York City. Rob says he was smitten the first time he met Marisol, but she wasn't so impressed with him. You see, Rob says he weighed 40 pounds more than he does now. He was drinking too much, and in his words, his attitude to everyone was belligerent at best. Rob says that Marisol was so pretty that, quote, she made me feel bad about myself. And so he set out to clean up his act. He stopped drinking to excess. He started to watch his diet. He started to exercise. And he dropped 40 pounds, enough for Marisol to make him the guy she wanted to be with. These days, they're happily married. And Rob is happily in the survey with a song at number 23 this week. Here's Rob Thomas and his band Matchbox 20 sliding 6 notches with Bright Lights.
She got out of town.
The hits from coast to coast.
And that means we're up to the number 1 song in the USA. It's a solo hit for a singer who spent the past 10 years making music with his band. He says doing it alone is like walking a tightrope without a net. This star says he didn't realize how much he depended on the other members of Matchbox 20 until he went solo. Quote, I'd be in the studio and there'd be an issue I needed to resolve. I knew my band would know the answer, but they weren't there. It took a long time to get over the idea that I was doing a balancing act, working without a net. But I had to do it. This star says he had to do it because, quote, these songs are my vision, alone, and they're things that I did that wouldn't have worked for Matchbox 20. But they did work for this star, and they worked so well, the first song from his solo album, Something to Be, is once again the biggest hit in the land. The number 1 song in the USA on American Top 20 for a 7th week is Lonely No More by Rob Thomas.
American Top 20.
This is the show where the hits are hot and we don't stop till we get to the top. Up a notch this week is Rob Thomas, a star who says the strangest show he ever did was for a convention of businessmen. To loosen things up, he came on stage dressed as a sumo wrestler in an inflatable suit that made him look like he weighed 500 pounds. Rob says, quote, the strangest part was there wasn't a smile or a chuckle. They thought it was part of the act. Here's Rob with This Is How a Heart Breaks.
Number 7.
Next is a famous singer who cuts his own hair. Rob Thomas says it saves him hundreds of dollars every year. At number 7 for a 3rd week, here he is with Ever the Same.
American Top 20.
Well, now we're up to the song Little Wonders. It's by a man who's one of the big wonders of our chart. He's had more hits on our countdown than anyone else. Here's how the top 3 artists rank on the top 20. In 3rd place, Madonna with 11 hits. In 2nd place, there's Sheryl Crow with 14 hits. But the artist at the top is way ahead of the pack. He's had 18 top 20 hits. They break down to 12 with his band Matchbox 20, 1 with Santana, and 5 as a solo singer. This week, Rob Thomas climbs 2 notches to number 15 with his 18th top 20 appearance, Little Wonders.
America's Top Hits.
This week back in 2006, one of the top hits in the USA was Street Corner Symphony. It's by a star who has no memory at all of 2 of the greatest years of his life. Rob Thomas says the years were 1997 and 1998. His band, Matchbox 20, had just put out their first album, Yourself or Someone Like You. Their success was exploding. They were on the road all the time, but Rob has no recollection of any of it. Quote, I was doing lots of coke. I'd be exhausted, and I'd want to stay up and go to bars and have a good time. And coke did it for me. What coke also did to him was to keep Rob in a drugged-out haze. Quote, there's a 2-year period that I don't remember at all. I can't imagine what our shows were like. Well, these days, Rob is clean and sober. His memory is intact, and he'll never forget having one of the top hits in the USA this week back in 2006. Here's Street Corner Symphony.
American Top 20.
I'm Casey Kasem with the hottest songs in the USA. 7 years ago, back in 2000, this was one of the hottest songs. It's one of the few songs by Matchbox 20 that singer Rob Thomas performs on his solo tours. He says, quote, it's one of the best songs I've ever written. I'm very proud of it. Here's Matchbox 20 with If You're Gone.
Casey counts them down.